And what I say to you all, keep awake. We begin Advent with the news of the impending return of Jesus, the end of the world, the who knows what could happen kind of feeling. This is not a gentle invitation into a season of waiting. This is a command. Something is about to happen, and we all need to be attentive. But being awake is hard. It means listening to what is going on in the world, being open to the knowledge of fighting in Eritrea, houselessness and food insecurity in Toronto, the displacement of peoples internally and internationally, including refugees, ongoing oppression suffered by countless humans in countless places around the world and here at home. Fill in the blank with whatever injustice is closest to your heart. This list could be endless. We who try to be awake, attentive, aware, and active are tired. We take it all in and we try to discern what we can be responsive to and how we can best make a difference. But it is hard, and especially so in these isolating times. We each enter into this different Advent season. As we each enter into this different Advent season, I want to offer some nuance and some hope to our task of keeping awake. Jan Richardson's blessing for waking is for me a bit of a blueprint for this community and for the communities I have helped create or found myself in over the decades. She writes, "This blessing wants to sit alongside you and keep vigil with you. This blessing will simply lean toward you and sing quietly in your ear, a song to lull you not into sleep, but into waking. It will ask you questions you never considered and have you tell it what you saw in your dreaming. This blessing will do all within its power to entice you into awareness because it wants to be there. To bear witness, to see the look in your eyes on the day when your vigil is complete and all your waiting comes to its joyous end." We know not all waiting ends in joy, but there is a hopefulness in this reading that encourages us to seek the joy, to seek the change in circumstances, to wait in hope and not in fear. Waiting can be understood as a passive act, standing in line for your turn with the cashier. But even that waiting can become active as you scan the magazine titles and maybe pick up the latest issue of People magazine to flip through. It could also become active as you choose to do some kind of subtle exercise that does not cause too many people to stare. Or it becomes active as you create a list of your next errands and plan the rest of your day. In the first activity, one engages in waiting that passes the time, but it doesn't really accomplish much, except maybe increase your knowledge of gossip. Your exercise contributes to your own well-being and maybe prepares you for what is coming next, like running for the bus. The list making and the planning prepares you for who you will be in the world. Not in dramatic ways, but in the kind of foundational thinking that happens for me before I get out of bed. What do I know about the day ahead of me, and how can I best enter into it? We are all faced with waiting, and sometimes we have no choice but for it to be passive, a waiting where we have no agency, and we must simply wait for the test results, or wait for the diagnosis, or wait. I think that the command of keep awake that we hear today is an active waiting. It's like when we spend the time preparing for the arrival of someone in our home. We do not know what the ending will be, but as people of faith, we engage in active waiting. It is often not easy waiting. It's the kind of being awake that requires companionship and the strength of those companions, because there is much to be done to bring about a new world. We can be the embodiment of Jan Richardson's blessing. We can come alongside of each other and share the songs, poems, art, stories that call us to wakefulness. Remind ourselves of past successes, the times and places where God's presence broke into the world, the people listened, and change happened. We did that very thing in this community deliberately on All Saints Sunday and the previous one. But it happens in Holy Trinity list posts, in individual actions, and in collective declarations. We can ask questions of one another, and we can share in your dreaming. This is sometimes a tricky task, and it moves beyond the platitudes that can be mouthed in tough times. It moves to real accompaniment. It is the voices who really encouraged me to slow down and ask for help in the midst of my cancer treatment this year. It is the voices who told me I was not responsible for everyone and everything. Others could take over and do a great job. So we have our scriptural command in the gospel, and we have some hints about how to fulfill that command in the first reading. But I want you now to cast your mind back to the very beginning, when we sang the first verse of Canticle of the Turning, and we dispelled the darkness a little bit with our candles of hope, lit in our homes in many, many places. That's so much more light than the single candle in the middle of our beloved church. Even in our separation, we multiply the light. The last few lines of each stanza are the same, and by the time we get to week 4, we will know them well. My heart shall sing of the day you bring. Let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near. This has been rattling around in my head for the last few weeks since I first looked at the lyrics. It really feels like it's the faithful thing to do. I struggle to put into words what it means to be a Christian for me, except that I know I am truly called to change the world. I'm not called to do it alone, nor am I called to do it in a robotic way without feeling the tiredness, the pain, or the loneliness, or as my daughter would say, all the feels. This stanza acknowledges that even in the midst of the sure knowledge that the fires of justice will burn and the world is about to turn, there will be tears. Tears of loss, tears of fear, tears of frustration, tears of all kinds, and maybe tears of joy. I'm in a place where there has been a lot of wiping away of tears, and placing hope in the dawn is difficult. I have gotten here as I am an optimist and I'm somewhat aware of my privileged place in this world. I can't, however, let my reality of who I am discount the need for tears, and that sometimes I need to stay in the place of sadness. This year, with the personal and collective struggles of 2020, I am more aware than ever that the act of wiping away tears is sacred. I need to acknowledge that tears are there, and letting them flow and being with the pain is part of my current journey. Even now, I hold on to the hope that fires of justice are indeed burning, and the world is about to turn, because the blessings of individuals and communities continue to come alongside me and accompany me in the vigil now and in the past. I've been joined in person and virtually by people I know and by countless thousands I will never meet, who share the same vision and find ways to work for God's shalom. I want to acknowledge that we might be spending more time wiping away tears this Advent, and that keeping awake might be harder. Bad news is more accessible than ever, and it pulls at our souls and numbs our senses. The good news is that as people of faith who are part of Holy Trinity, we do what we can do, and that is not everything. We each bring concerns to the community. Some we will work on as a community. Some we will work on with other communities. And some we will offer prayers, because that is all we can do. In our active waiting this Advent, we can keep vigil with one another through our conversations collectively during coffee hour and on the email list. We can send notes to one another. And we will deliberately share our favorite Advent poems, songs, and wisdom of all kinds with the youth of this community. I will not click on every appeal in my inbox. In every appeal to sign a petition, I will not attend every virtual rally. I will do what I can with who I am in this moment and place. And I urge each of us, and us as a whole community, to know that although we are called to keep awake, for God's presence in this world and to keep awake for the turning of the world. We do not do it alone, and we do not have to do it all. Communities the world over will light their Advent wreath this morning. They will offer their prayers and sing music both ancient and new. And together we will move into this holy season where we may more deeply touch the darkness and gaze towards the dawn.